seems like chiropractor, there's very much two different streams. There's much more the sort of traditional philosophical one, and there's much more the more sort of more musculoskeletal,
scientific, research-based, evidence-based practice. My group that I'm now the patron of, it had a few different name changes, but it's now called Chiropractic Australia, and that's the postgraduate educational group. We tend to attract the more evidence-based practitioners to come to our lectures, and I usually lecture at every major conference on something to do with surgery or whatever, but we often bring in rheumatologists and other medical specialists to give a chunk of some sort of information for them. So we don't get the fire and brimstone chiropractors coming along, and they're still out there, you know, the philosophical people, if you like, who think that they can treat diabetes by manipulating the spine, those sorts of things. These are the guys that give the chiro profession a bad name, and they're the ones that end up in the newspapers. You know. Unfortunately, that's, you know, we can't stop them.
With your unique background and with some of the skills and knowledge you've developed from chiropractic that you apply even now as a surgeon, how a lot of your colleagues within the medical field look at you? Is their eyebrows raised, or are a lot of them quite open and curious to what you do?
Look, when I went back into medicine as a medical student, everyone, I was at the Royal Melbourne Hospital, everyone knew who I was.
Right.
And you know, they were watching me carefully. I made sure that I got pretty much straight honours in everything that I did. So I won them over, and you know, then I started my junior house training, if you like, the residency, and you know, I got pretty good references everywhere I went there. Then when I tried to get onto the orthopedic training program, that was a different matter, and I was seen with some suspicion, and I can tell you, I can't name him, but I'm not allowed to. But there was one of the senior orthopods that said to the head of the unit, "As long as I'm alive, no chiropractor will ever become an orthopedic surgeon." And this filtered through the other heads of department, right to the professor of surgery. And when they didn't accept me, I went to see him because he was one of my referees. And he said, "I'm the director of training in Victoria. I can overturn any decision that's been made, but I'm not going to use this power. I'm going to make them all feel very uncomfortable, and you're going to come and do a year of clinical research with me, a master's in surgery," which I did. And I did that, and the next year they didn't even ask me a question. They said, "You're on."
So you basically had to prove yourself a little bit more than
a little bit more, yeah. I mean, that was only a few of the orthopods that were suspicious, and those guys ended up coming to me as patients, for their back problems. You know, so there's been quite a turnaround.
Yeah, I think it's one of the issues that can often stifle innovation. Is this unwillingness to be open to outside information. I know that's something for me I've noticed where, like going back to talking about particular training I've done with like fascial manipulation, which doesn't seem, it's not a big thing in Australia at all. No. But I mean, for me, there's actually really good science behind what they do, but more importantly, clinically, it's so valuable. But I don't know if that's an issue we have particularly in Australia, or if it's just related to people wanting to protect their profession individually. But it's, I think there's a good opportunity to learn a lot more if we open up talking to people from different approaches.
Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
It's a bit like racial prejudice, you know. You don't understand